All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Blue Collar Bodybuilding channel. We're here with another episode of the Coach's Corner. We got our badasses as usual, Tanya, Josh, and Mike. What's happening, everyone?
How's it going, Dave?
What's up? So, I want to get first off the updates for Miss Tanya with her prep. Anything exciting go on in 1 week since we last seen you?
Actually, a lot of things. I got cardio added and I started my cycle. So,
Oh, nice. Nice.
so I got 3 times 30-minute fasted sessions and started my primo cycle 5 milligrams a day today. So I'll escalate that over the coming weeks.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah. And I started using regular primo and enthate because I was able to get some. And the only primo I've used in the past was primo acetate. Because
really?
the particular lab that I get stuff from has a female menu. It's like lower concentrations. And it was like a 50 milligram per ml, but it had to be made with acetate apparently to achieve that.
Mm.
I had some sort of really, really insane immune response to that.
Really?
Like CRP in the 20s.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes. It was beyond PIP. It basically like inflamed and half paralyzed the whole muscle every time I pinned it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you're getting quite an inflammatory response. And do you think it was the oil or you think it was the product itself?
I don't think it was the oil because they use MCT for everything across the board.
Yeah.
I think it was just the ester, like however that needed to be formulated. Maybe it was acetate. I don't know, but I was kind of nervous to even try another primo.
Yeah.
And so I got over that hurdle this week because I knew after 24 hours, I was like, this is fine. Because before 24 hours later, it was like the worst DOMs you've ever had in your life in the entire muscle, no matter what the muscle was and where you pinned it and how much it was. And I couldn't even contract it fully. It was very, very weird.
Yeah, that sucks when that happens. I mean, it's weird too, because there's definitely some compounds that just by changing the ester, it changes the PIP, it changes how you react.
Yeah, because I expected PIP. Like, I'm aware that primo is painful, but I'm like, this is not PIP.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Yeah, you're right. Primo usually has a little bit of a kick to it, but it's I've noticed stuff like guys have reported that, like, EQ is one thing, but like boldenone cypionate, for some reason the CYP just gives them a lot harder PIP. And sometimes same thing, like inflammatory response.
Yeah.
And just person to person, some things don't agree, so.
Yeah.
And you women are kind of limited to a point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now that there's no primo or mass to come by easily, it's like, what are our options now? Nandrolones and orals? Great.
Yeah, exactly. So cardio, are you one that usually utilizes a good amount of cardio, or what's your,
No, actually, for my last diet, I actually didn't do any cardio at all. My activity is pretty high just day to day. On work days, because I work a couple shifts a week at the gym, I'll easily get like 12K, not even trying. So I have to pay attention to it a little bit more on off days, but it's not hard for me to get lots of steps. I'm ADHD, so I'm running around forgetting things all the time. Yeah. So I don't normally have to bring in too much cardio, so it probably won't get super, super high. So it's just 3 days a week right now of incline zone 2 walking. And I have a treadmill at home, so it's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? I forgot if I asked you before. You're one that doesn't need a ton of cardio from what I remember.
It depends, honestly. This year we maxed out the prep about 80 minutes a day, 5 times a week. So, and one of the sessions was on a spin bike doing HIIT, and the other session was on the stairs post-workout. So I would split that 80 minutes between 2 sessions. It varies. Like some preps I get away with not much cardio. I am on my feet, like Tanya said, like 12 hours in the gym. I'm still at the gym right now doing this, and then I'll go home. But yeah, like I probably got 12,000 steps just training clients today and helping people around the gym. It varies. Right now I'm doing 20 minutes, 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I still keep it higher intensity. That's what Justin has me doing, and I kind of like it, honestly. It makes the time go by faster than just like steady state.
Yeah.
I just get a bunch of work done on my phone. Like I'll do client responses and stuff, catch up on my emails.
Yeah. That's exactly what I do. Hey, Josh, do you ever wonder that if your stride was longer, you'd have to do less minutes?
I probably would have to do less minutes.
Yo, 3 miles an hour
with me tonight, so yeah.
That's funny.
3 miles an hour.
Bodybuilding is the one sport where like you actually want to be shorter. Like there's no advantage to being a tall guy in bodybuilding.
So actually, I don't know. Actually, Dave, I don't even think you know this. When I was a kid, I used growth hormone to grow taller. My parents put me on GH from 9 until 15, Norditropin from an endocrinologist at Mass General Hospital. So I would have been shorter. I might have been Sean Clarita or even shorter.
Wow.
If it wasn't for
Sean's
GH.
5'3", right?
He's like 5'2".
Yeah. I've stood next to Sean. He's 5'3" on a good day. Yeah.
Little meatball.
Yeah.
Is
I've never seen anyone rounder in my life. I saw him peak off season at Dallas, in Destination Dallas, and we knew the body Better Bodies crew and Gas pretty well, most of their athletes, and I'm just sitting there talking to him, and I can usually hold a conversation. Well, I just couldn't hear anything he was saying because I'm looking at his shoulders, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I looking at? This is wild.
I can't hear you over your delts.
And I can't hear you over your shoulder.
If your
They're
delts are too loud.
Rounder than a basketball, which is impossible, but it's rounder than a basketball. It's the best I can tell you.
Pound for pound, probably the best bodybuilder ever. I mean, he is so well shaped and just you couldn't pack him another ounce of muscle in that frame. It's
Yeah.
So dense.
Yeah. Yeah. And he brings like a density that's, it's weird. You usually in bodybuilding, we always see on our peaks like a give and take, right? So there's like you give up a little bit of fullness for a little bit more tightness or a little more dryness, you know, and you can never really get the best of everything. Like that's a unicorn, right? Like as full as a house, completely dry, peeled to the bone. It's hard. But for some reason, he's just got the ability to get the closest to it. I've never seen anyone fuller, harder, and more peeled. He's just, you're totally right. Pound for pound, he finds a way to make it work. And it seems like since he's been working with John Jewett, he's just getting better with age too, which is
right. How do you improve on perfection? Work with John Jewett, obviously.
yeah.
It just goes to show there's always another level to get better, you know?
Always.
Yeah. For sure.
Have you guys seen like how misguided he was before he started working with John? Like he was just kind of like floating around doing his own thing for a bit.
Yeah. Well, I know he had a little bit of pushback with John about like cardio. You know, John wanted to make sure he didn't do too much. And all of us bodybuilders are the same, right? We do a little bit too much. Coach says do 40 minutes, you're doing 45. You know, eat 50 grams of carbs. You might be like, oh, 48's close enough, you know. But it's yeah, I did hear that too. It seemed like a lot of them were easy fixes, but it's hard to see when you're the athlete. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes less is more. You know,
He
I've
looks
come to
so
learn
good
that.
at Japan. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I'd say Keon's getting close to, in my opinion, being pound for pound. One of the, just that shape is just something, it blows my mind every time I see him. And it's like a different person. Every time you see him, there's like a new little detail you're finding, you know?
I remember when he was still natural and everybody was raving about how good he looked natural.
Yeah.
I know. He did look great.
It was when he was coached by PJ Braun.
Yeah.
And he was like a kid too. He looked so young back then.
I was going to ask you, Josh, with when you were younger, did you have a growth on your pituitary, or were you just like massively deficient? Or
I was massively deficient. Like, so what they would do is they would x-ray my growth plates as a kid, and my growth plates were like ahead of where I was for my age. So I was like 9 years old and my growth plates would look like I was 13.
wow.
So the doctors were telling me that I would only have X amount left of growing.
Mhm.
And I knew nothing. I was 9 years old. If I knew what I knew now, I would have been taking that whole fucking pen. Huge. I still lifted weights, but I started lifting weights when I was like 12.
Mhm.
And I noticed like kids were saying I was on juice back then. And I mean, in their defense, like kind of was using something to help, but I didn't know. And I just responded very well. And it gave me about 4 more inches in height.
Mhm.
So I would have been pretty fucking short.
Yeah. Do you have anything lasting from it? Because in the reason I ask, I have a kid that I coached that had a growth on his pituitary, and he had the same scenario. He had to supplement at a super young age, growth hormone. And it's funny, as I coach him now, I guarantee none of us could get him fat if you tried. I could feed him tubs of lard, and this kid will not get fat. He will only grow muscle tissue.
So
And he's fully
essentially-
natural now.
Essentially, that was 100% my case when I was natural.
Mm.
I could eat ice cream every day, and I couldn't put on weight. I also was hypothyroidism, but have symptoms of hyperthyroidism. And now it's weird, like, especially this rebound. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting older. I turned 30 this year, but like I'm growing on food that I've never, like, little food, and I've
Mhm.
never grown this much eating this little before,
Mhm.
with low doses as well too.
Mhm.
But no, I don't have any. I guess it is hard for me to get like fat. Like I've never been like a fat guy ever.
Right. Right. You know, we were just talking about that at the gym with a friend of mine too, another guy I coach, and we ended up pulling his food. You know, he had some digestive problems. We tried working on it, not touching his food at first. You know, tried some digestive aids, put in some like probiotic foods, you know, fermented foods, and a couple different little small tactics. You know, moving his water around, making sure we're not like drinking too much while you're eating and stuff. Usually, little things that move the needle a bit, you know, for the better. Anyways, we ended up pulling his food from like 3 high days down to 1, and this is towards the end of his grow season, and he started growing again. And there's like 1,000 calorie a day difference.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just in I don't want to be TMI with his scenario, but you know, he was going to the bathroom so frequently. You know, he's having 6 meals. He was going to the bathroom like six times
Oh,
a day,
so he's
and
just
that
not
and
absorbing
when
any of it.
yeah. So when I picked up on that, and you know, finally got that feedback and went through the list of questions, that's exactly what it was. He just wasn't absorbing the food. So it's kind of funny. I wonder sometimes when I get these clients that we're feeding them astronomical amounts, it's like you almost have to pay attention to bowel movements and digestion even further because are we utilizing that food? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. And I've always pushed my food pretty high in the off season, and I essentially reach a point where that happens. Like
Yeah.
there's just no return on investment eating more and more, even just for the sake of me seeing, like, last year I was eating almost a cheat meal every day to try to hit 236 on the scale, and I hit it for like 2 days, and then I'm just going to the bathroom too much, and it's like not even working.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Mike? As you've gotten, you know, as an older competitor yourself in the master's class, is this something that resonates with you? I mean, does food digest completely different now than in the past for you? Or you get away with less?
I think, the more I learn since I started competing and learning more about nutrition, I think the more that I learn about how to eat, the less problems I have. Um, I've eaten more food in the last 2 years that Paul's been coaching me than I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
And a sauna high carb day might mean one more trip to the bathroom or something, when you're eating 900 grams of carbohydrates, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good on most days. And, we get hyper focused, I think, on protein and carbohydrate intake, but, we also need a certain amount of fat just to keep the digestive system moving right, and sometimes I'll catch myself like not meeting my fat intake goals. Like everybody's struggling to meet their protein goals. And I'm like, oh, I can't get enough fat in. And then, that can cause some digestive issues. So,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially as you get towards the end of the prep, you see kind of, you know, the GI tract kind of dries up. There's very little fats. All you got is protein. Water's running right through you. Nothing's there to kind of lubricate the system, you know,
you're
make the whole,
dropping rabbit pellets every couple hours.
yeah. Yeah, and
It's the work.
you always feel like you got to go, but you can't, you know, it becomes frustrating. But, you know, us all being coaches to an extent, if somebody signs up with you tomorrow, do you have something you go through with them for digestion? Like whether it's a couple questions or is there a product that you're a huge fan of that you put on with everybody or what?
Digestion is one of those funny things, though. When you ask about it, no one really knows, right? Because nobody's paying that attention. And maybe it's different for you guys if you bring on a seasoned competitor or someone who has some knowledge that you're coaching for a competition. But with me bringing in, mostly fat guys, they just not even aware. The two things that they have no awareness around is their digestion or their sleep. So, they think it's normal to get up and pee out of your butt every morning because that's the way it's been for them for so long,
Yeah.
Just trying to talk to them about it. They're like, oh yeah, my poop's fine. It's like, well, is it? And then, other digestive issues, we start talking to them about, acid reflux and things like that. And so, yeah, I do have my intake questionnaire has about a half a dozen questions on digestion and about as many on sleep too, because you got to make people think to get a good answer out of them. Otherwise, you'll always just say it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. What about you, Tanya? Is that something you pay attention to right off the bat? Because for myself, that's usually like the first or second thing I'm trying to get into something with somebody is how digestion and basically food. I want to know everything
Yeah.
about your food.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's one of the things I'll ask them in our initial consult call and in their intake form. Like, do you have digestive issues? Describe what your digestion is like. And I'll even, at the end, I'll ask them, give me a breakdown of like a rough schedule of your day, everything, so that we can like look at all of that.
Yeah.
And like if that's not consistent at all, that's a red flag. If they can't even produce that answer, it's not consistent. And then on their data sheet, I do have them rate their digestion and I give them clarification as to what I'm asking for as far as rating. And I'm actually writing a like client quick start guide right now to kind of give them a more upfront detailed idea of like what I mean by certain things. But basically I'll describe to them the Bristol stool chart and I'll be like, I'll give them the actual Bristol stool chart and be like, we want a 10 digestive rating. When I'm asking 1 through 10, that means you're mostly 3s and 4s on the Bristol stool chart. You're not having any excessive, just painful gas and bloating. You're not having any loose stools, anything like that. You're not having indigestion or acid reflux. And if you're having any of those, that's where the rating goes down from there. And then I kind of dig more into it, kind of figure out what's going on. But yeah, I give them up front kind of this is what I mean by the 1 through 10 rating. Now give me an objective rating on that. And then if it starts slipping below 8 really consistently, I start asking them, what is the issue and what can we do to fix it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. You make a really good point, Mike, too, is that initially trying to jump into a discussion about digestion with a new client, especially if they're new to this, they don't know what normal is. And it makes sense, right? Like that happens in so many other facets of life. You become accustomed to what you're used to, and that's normal to you. So it's like trying to break people out of that mold and say, well, I want your bowel movements and digestion to be as such. It might be weird to them at first, but it's probably the one kryptonite that can take down the biggest or smallest bodybuilder is digestion,
I'm just upfront about it from the beginning. I'm like, I'm going to get all up in your business and that's how I'm going to do really good work for you. So get ready for me to ask about your poop.
Yeah, absolutely. Our buddy Amy would be proud. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask about your poop and I'm gonna ask about your morning wood.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too, because you talk about schedule, right? Like a lot of these things, if we eat like a dog, the same things, repetitive, timing, you're going to expect bowel movements and you're going to expect like your comfortability of your digestion, the same problems and the same good scenarios are going to just be on time, set your clock to it. So that's kind of a big thing too. I'm trying to see how consistent people are. That's probably actually kind of one of the top ones is like, if someone's telling me like, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 3 days and then I'll go to the bathroom only once and then, maybe 2 days, it's just inconsistent. Something's wrong, something's off. What about you, Josh? Do you think digestion's something that's probably going to be at the top of the list? I mean, I look at it like experience of like, I usually ask people their drug scenarios first and goals, but I got to get into digestion as the top thing.
Yeah, on my intake form, I have at least 3 questions that ask about digestion, bowel movement, if they're having like acid reflux, and then depending on the person. I also have like 50% lifestyle and 50% competitors. So all those people that are lifestyle have no, like you said, no understanding of like what a normal schedule is or, what the color or what their stool looks like. But yeah, I basically know all my females, their cycles, their poops, everything,
Yeah.
we know all that stuff. But yeah, I have a few females that really struggle with bowel movements.
Yeah.
More so than men.
Higher stress.
And then also, their nutrition might be different from them than you're used to. Like I definitely diet my men and women a little bit differently of food composition and macro makeup. most of my women are going to be a little bit of a higher fat content to a point, and then it depends on how sensitive they are with carbohydrates, you know. So with a man, we're usually setting our protein, or at least how I go, I set my protein at a certain ratio in the sense of like, you know, 1 to 1.5 grams protein per pound of lean body mass. And then I'm doing like a 1/3 gram for fat. And then I'm filling in that gap for goals, depending on with carbohydrates. With women, I kind of actually set that protein goal, and depending on, I'm using fats and carbs to drive the surplus or drive a deficit, depending on how they react. I could care less if they do better with fats. I have no problem. I diet a lot of women on higher fat diets, and I can still get them shredded. I can still put on size that's lean with them, you know. So and that comes with a different digestive, you know, expectation to a point.
And that makes sense because we spare glycogen more, we spare carbohydrates more, and burn fat better. So that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they're just as much dependent on their hormone makeup from fats to a point as well. You know, it's influenced by that as well. Yeah, it's funny. I tell people, like, you know, if I was building a race car, but I'm building a bodybuilder, I got to know what's going on under the hood. I got to check the oil. I got to check the components. I need to know how well the transmission is. It might be a beautiful engine, but if the transmission's only rated for half the horsepower, this is no bueno. So it's kind of the scenario with, yeah, people might think you're digging into a little bit of their private, you know, personal stuff. You know, it's talking about things that are a little strange to the average person, but it makes total sense. I mean, I'm building a race car. I need to know the components.
And physiology is really personal. It just is. It's your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, great point.
You
Great
just kind of have to think about it objectively and not think about it as, you know, something that's like private and personal, kind of compartmentalize that a little bit. And I think bodybuilding helps a lot with that because we're really good at being objective with that. It's just a body, right?
Mm,
It's not
yeah.
the same for general population people. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people have a hard time even talking to their doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if they can understand that I'm not here to judge, you know, like I'm not here to judge. Like, you're going to have a starting point, and, you know, I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you. And once you get a taste of my honesty, you'll realize, you know, you might not be so scared off by it. Where doctors can be a little intimidating, you know, too. Or you feel like you're going to get in trouble if you say the wrong answer.
Yeah.
About, you know, anything, you know. But that kind of actually, I might as well ask you now, but that kind of went along with one question somebody had asked me, which is red flags for digestion. Probably like a 2-month-old question, but do you guys have any red flags that is, you know, something that you might, you know, like for me, I hate seeing guys have acid reflux because it's either too much acid or very too little. It's never the right amount. So sometimes it can be a hard fix right off the bat.
Yeah. And they want to go right to like taking a PPI when you probably don't have enough stomach acid and you're making it worse.
Sure. And I've seen the other way around, people taking way too much Pepsin, you know, consistently, and that's driving a problem for them too. But do you guys have, what about you, Mike? Is there, I mean, you're pretty good in the nutritional field for sure. Is there a red flag that you look at when you deal with nutrition that's, you got to pump the brakes and really dive into?
You know, it's more just like diagnostic from the beginning. You know, we ask those questions up front and then drill in a little bit with a actual conversation to each one of them if they don't answer in a favorable way, you know, or if I don't think they're answering in a favorable way. Like a lot of times when I take a new client, we'll review I'll send them the questionnaire before we do like the intake of the onboarding, and I'll review that stuff with them then and you know, get them to examine their own belief system around what their answer is to make sure that I'm actually getting an honest answer from them. And then kind of drilling into some of the things that might be causing something like, you know, sporadic diarrhea or, you know, obviously the real common one is acid reflux.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times it's, you know, I mean, PEDs, I mean, there's so many things that we take that can cause acid reflux. Is just realizing what it is. Very few people on a clean diet have digestive issues, right?
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Anything you come across, Josh, that's we're missing?
No, not really. I would say kind of like you were saying with your client though, if they're not absorbing food, you know, if I have a client that's on 4,500 calories and they're at least 500 calories over maintenance, and they're not gaining, and they're saying they're going to the bathroom a lot,
Yeah.
I would definitely assess their nutrients and, like you did, probably pull food back. But yeah, basically what you guys said essentially.
Yeah. Well,
Protein farts. That's another one. Everybody thinks it's protein, but it's usually something else. Oh, I've got these protein farts. Like, well, let's just drill into that for a minute.
yeah. Yeah, and then the body changes too. Like there's things I used to digest just well, and I can't do as well any longer. Like I think it might have been this show I was talking about it, but I used to be able when I was younger in my early 20s, I could eat red meat all day long, have no problem. Now, if I eat red meat, I'm not digesting it. It's going to feel like it's just building up in me. It takes more time to break down, and for whatever reasons or whatnot. So things definitely change. I have to keep an eye out with that too, as well. Like some people become a little dependent on protein powders later on in like a bulk, in their growing season. And then they just start to not digest them so well, because they got such a surplus of food. And then, 2 servings a day turn into 4 of their meals if they're not paying attention, or, and that gives them issues. They get the protein farts, but it's like, yo, you're just not digesting what you're eating. You're causing an issue too.
What do you generally recommend to your clients as far as how often they should be replacing protein with a shake?
Well, I write their diets for the most part. I'm kind of similar to Paul. I give macros and I give food selection so they can make a substitution if they need to. But I write an initial diet, and every week I'm finding out how far off they strayed. So it could be, if I write Tanya a diet and she followed at 99%, but she ended up making 1 switch or 10 switches. I just want to know, and I want to know the measurements. So if you're going to make a switch, you better document the measurements, because I want to double check you're right, because everyone says they can count macros and they're not always dead on. But like twice, basically 2 times a day is like kind of my max. I tell people we can use protein powders, and especially isolates I prefer. But we're not going to do them 6 meals a day, 5 meals a day, and it's not going to be your go-to. If you're like not hungry, we'll find something lighter for you to eat. We're going to change your diet. We're going to figure a solution, not just, use protein powder as a crutch. But I'd say twice a day should be fine.
I
As a
usually try
max.
to just tell people 1 meal a day, assuming that they're going to do 2, and not have 100% compliance. But if someone is a smaller person with less protein requirements, I'll say, one meal or 25% of your daily protein intake, right? Because if you're dieting somebody on, 150 grams of protein or something, because they're small.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Is 2 a little much, you think? Or I guess it's probably person dependent too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be if the only way they can get in enough protein for whatever reason is by using some shakes, I mean, I'm gonna prioritize that over picking better sources, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, depending on somebody's struggles with their appetite, like it's a lot of people for some reason with a really low appetite coming to me, like struggling to eat just across the board. Men, women, fat, not fat. So that seems to be the primary issue people come to me a lot with. And in those situations, I mean, the protein shake makes a lot of sense, because it's like, okay, I'm actually going to get you to even eat this meal if you do it as a shake, right? Or people that are getting up super early and they were going to the gym fasted before. And I'm like, I don't want you to train fasted, at least have a shake, and they can get that in. But for the most part, yeah, I do want to see it whole food sources, because I mean, nature usually has it right.
Yeah.
And red meat is one of the most nutritious food sources there are for us.
Yep. And it tastes amazing. I just wish I
Yeah.
could eat it 6 times a day, but I can't.
Yeah,
My
the
head-
bigger problem as far as protein choices with a lot of people is all these stupid fucking protein snacks with like 20 grams of fat per serving
it's
all the time.
terrible.
So then when I see somebody having like 150, 175, 200 grams of fat, I know that that's why.
Yeah.
Especially if their fiber is like 6. That's another thing that I pay a lot of attention to as a proxy for like nutrient status is their fiber. If you're not getting at least 25 to 30 grams consistently without fiber supplements, I know you're not eating enough vegetables and fruits.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
Mhm.
What about you, Josh? You a big protein user powder for your clients, or?
Yeah, so I basically, like you guys, I would probably put maximum 2 shakes on there. For myself personally, I do 2 shakes right now. And some of it is just for convenience, honestly, when I'm training a client on the gym floor.
Mhm.
I will eat 3 meals on the gym floor, but I really don't want to eat 4 meals on the gym floor. So one of my meals, I do a shake, and I'll do about 4 scoops a day, so about 100 grams of protein
Mhm.
in whey isolate, but my total is 380 grams per day. So
Yeah.
I'm still getting in, 2 to 3 chicken meals, 1 beef meal, and some eggs. But yeah, basically 2 shakes a day. But like Mike said, also depending on the person, if it's a female that's only 120 pounds and her protein total is, 140 grams, 120 grams, she would probably only have 1 shake.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really no excuse for not being able to get to 140 grams of protein without shakes.
Yeah. That's true.
I've accidentally hit 250 plus without shakes before on like a free meal day.
Yeah.
Protein's one of those things that like with my weight loss clients, I just tell them right off the bat, don't buy anything that has in bold print on the front, protein, keto, carnivore, any of that stuff, because it's all bullshit.
Yep.
And if you are on a keto diet and you eat more than, 1 serving, because you're probably not going to read the back of the panel of something that says keto on it, it's going to kick you out of ketosis. I've had guys do it. It's ridiculous. Just don't buy anything that says anything on the front of the package and you'll be all right.
Yeah, up front, I tell them like anything that markets itself as a protein, saying it's a gimmick. Yogurt, Greek yogurt is already protein yogurt, guys.
Yeah.
It's already protein yogurt, and you can make it taste however you want for 15 times less money for a big tub.
Mhm.
Like I made this, and like my clients know this. I don't have clients that I have to tell not to because I established that standard from the beginning and I fix it when I see it. So I had made that post about the protein Pop-Tarts.
Mhm.
It went kind of viral.
Oh.
And I started it out because I was just ranting on my story and I just like posted that as a reel because I had just come out of Walmart and saw the protein fucking Pop-Tarts, which are 5 grams per 190 calories, by the way.
Wow.
And I started out, I was like, imagine being my client and I find out that you got your 40 grams of protein that I want you to have at breakfast from 8 Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. 1,000
And it was
calories.
kind of like a cunty shout out to my clients who know damn well that would never happen. Like I even had them commenting shit like that. And apparently a good amount of people misinterpreted that and thought that I was roasting a client publicly like that.
Yeah.
So now I have a bunch of troll comments saying, I would never pay you if you're this unprofessional. And I'm like, show me where I called out my client. Why the fuck do you think that I would have to call my client out in a public reel?
That's
Why would
funny.
I do that?
You just showed me why I don't want to coach you either. If if it was satire, you can't take it. 2,
Exactly.
if that's what's if that's how you are, I'm appreciate that you call it out straight. Like, yeah, you're a moron if you can't notice that this is wrong. Like we can't do this. That's like saying I'm gonna get my protein from peanut butter as long as I have the jar. I nailed it for the day.
Remember when peanut butter was touted as a high protein food?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's silly. It's funny. I use protein powder because I kind of like it though. Like I have it easily once a day and it's probably either drip. Like I'll do it on my oats. Like I like doing like frozen berries and the protein drip on like oats or cream of rice. But my Ninja Creamy, I have to, when I'm dieting for a show, I have no problem Ninja Creamy right up to the show.
I have an upgrade for your protein drip that I never hear anybody else. Do it with Greek yogurt. Just a little bit.
I do.
Okay.
do
That's
that.
how I do mine. And I also, if I can afford the carbs, I'll use powdered peanut butter in there.
Yeah. Here's a really good one too. That's like, it's a great macro. I mean, it's a great makeup, this little meal. And what I'll do is like for my low days, I pretty much have 0 carbs. Even on my off season, it's pretty much, I got 2 low days. I put them at 0, resets my digestion, helps with the pancreas, blah, blah, blah. But I'll take the 0 fat, however they pronounce it, the Fage yogurt, the plain 0% fat yogurt. And I'll put a layer of that in a bowl. I put frozen berries and then I put the drip on top and I freeze it for a half hour.
Oh, yeah.
And then I put just like the smallest amount of the Swerve brown sugar on the top. But you got to use marshmallow from Farm Fed for the drip. and it comes out like, if you just do a half hour and it's not fully frozen, it's like not toffee, taffy, like a saltwater taffy. It's like chewy, and then you get the berries, and then but it's all protein. There's a little bit of carbs, but it's berries. I'm only using like 75 grams for the meal, and then throw my almonds on top. Fantastic.
Yeah, I literally have my Greek yogurt sitting like that in the freezer right now for my last meal. Greek yogurt. This Greek yogurt. It's only 200 grams of Greek yogurt, and it's not Phage because I buy the cheap Walmart brand. I do love Phage though; it's my favorite. I can't justify
just to get
the
clear,
cost.
guys. It's Flaye. It says it right.
I know it is,
right on the container.
I'm a cereal. I like to be contradictory. It's Phage.
I can tell you, Jackie doesn't call it either one of those. That's for sure. She likes to make fun of me. But,
I like some chia seeds in there too. Chia seed, it gives it a really cool, like different texture and kind of covers all of your omega-3s in like a tablespoon. So
yeah. Actually, I imagine you could do some flaxseed too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are big. Kurt's a big fan of flaxseed oil.
It's good it can lower your blood pressure, apparently.
Yeah.
It tastes good too. When you pour it on something.
I've never had it.
Flavorful, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like a nutty flavor, apparently.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. A
Cocoa
cocoa powder
onto it, so
would you say cocoa powder?
Cocoa powder, just like 10 grams of cocoa powder in there. It thickens it up really good.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's got a surprising amount of fiber in it too.
Oh, wow.
And good antioxidants and stuff.
Oh, I'm getting hungry again already.
I know. Gotta eat after
I'm
this.
always hungry.
about to hear Dave's creamy going in the background.
Yes. Well, I mix too a lot. Like, so with that meal, I'm not going straight protein powder. I do 200 grams of the yogurt, 75 berries, and then whatever I need for, I think it's like another.
Sorry, guys, I got to step out for a
grams.
second.
Yeah. I think it's like another 50 grams of powder. But another one that I have no problem writing into people's programs is just like the egg mates with protein powder and making a pancake. It just gets them to have it's so easy of a breakfast.
I hear you, but that shit is disgusting. I've never been able to like it. It tastes like dog food smells to me anytime you apply heat to protein powder, in my opinion.
Really? I think it definitely matters
it
on
retains
the powder.
the whole eggy vibe.
Yeah.
It tastes like eggs no matter what to me if there's eggs in it. I have never been able to do that straight up egg white protein powder pancake. I gave up on it years ago.
But do you use the egg whites or the mates? Like the beef?
Either one of them, it does not matter.
Really?
It just tastes like you put sweetener in eggs and it still has the egg texture and it just comes off like sweet meat to me.
Yeah.
Very weird. I don't like it.
So I do like 4 ounces of the egg, 4 ounces of the egg mates. And then I want to say like 45 grams of powder. And it's just the right consistency. Because I get that if it was way too eggy and like gelatinous, it wouldn't be a pancake. Yeah.
Something I'm really on right now, especially with my carbs being a lot lower. So I've always done like cream of rice and oats together, and I don't buy the expensive cream of rice. I just buy jasmine rice and I grind it in a coffee grinder. That's my cream of rice. I've always I've always mixed that and oats together, and now that the carbs have come a lot down, it's mostly pumpkin puree. So like literally 200 grams of it or 200 grams of it. And then like 40, 50 grams of the cream of rice in there. And then some cocoa powder. And you mix that all together, cook it in the microwave on low for long enough to thicken up really, really well. It's even better than regular cream of rice.
Nice.
And it's like hella low calorie because it's mostly pumpkin.
Yeah. Yeah. You get some fiber.
And then I'll mix up like not a whey drip, but the PB2 drip. I'll just like wet the PB2 a little bit and sweeten it and put that on top and mix it in. Oh,
yeah.
This blows my mind that these guys get $20 for a bag of cream of rice.
That's
some of this flavored stuff like Elevate or whatever. It's crazy.
I'm telling you got to get a grain mill rather than a coffee, like a little smaller coffee, but you can fill. I have a grain mill and I think it was like $65, $80 and it's like a steel, nice one. It's maybe 1.5 feet tall, and, but you can you'll make like in one batch, probably like 3 orange boxes of the Uncle Ben's kind of cream of rice, like that amount. But I'll just put my rice in there, grind it. And you're talking that $20 bag is now like 75 cents, by the time you're all said and done, and you can just flavor it however you want. I'll do that with oats to do like a oat flour. you know. And then sometimes like seasonings from the garden, like, you know, we'll dry out some different seasonings, blend them up into a powder, mix them in with eggs. That's pretty good. But that's right up the alley of a question someone had, which was, what's your prep hack, diet hack? So I'd imagine they mean like food. Yeah. Mine's kind of
50-20.
simple. The cauliflower rice, you know, just to add some volume, you know. What about you, Josh?
Honestly, I'm very boring, but what I was doing, not this past prep in 2024, is I was making a waffle out of my oats with a little bit of egg whites, baking powder, and protein powder, and then putting it in a waffle iron with some sugar-free syrup, and that was like the go when you're prepping. Having a waffle that kind of felt like a real waffle.
Yeah.
This prep, honestly, I stuck to my meal plan, which was very basic and very bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I added a lot of microgreens this prep, just for a little bit of volume and texture to my meals, like the little microgreens. But I was very bodybuilder-esque this prep, no hacks.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Jackie does that every morning with her oats and egg whites and makes a pancake. It's like the most bland thing in the world, but she loves it. What about you, Mike? Did you ever have any concoctions you had to come up with to get through prep?
Yeah, I mean, we've just named like half a dozen of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do the frozen rice cauliflower too. I think, you know, on the veggie only days when you're on prep on your low days, it's great because you just eat it just like you would the rice, and it gives you the volume. It makes you feel full, and I digest it fine. I guess, you know, it is a high FODMAP food, so it might be hard for some people, but
Yeah, that's
I seem to do fine with it.
yeah, there's some people I know I'd have to be wary about that for sure. You know what, what was that?
I had a client that he already has an extended gut all the time.
Mhm.
He's master's competitor, and I'm on him all the time about his midsection control. And this was last year's prep, and we're like a couple weeks out, and I never once told him to use cauliflower or broccoli. And the whole prep, he's telling me that he was doing the rice cauliflower and like 3 times the serving of our rice portions. Dude, what made you think that was okay? So yeah, if you have the digestive system to process it, I think the rice cauliflower is great. But if you get bloating and gas, distension, then no bueno.
Well, I know most people get to a point where even those little things that would normally give them an issue, they just burn right through it. Like there's a point where you can just give them a little extra vegetable and they're just going to burn through it. It's not going to give a digestive issue, but you got to get there first. You know, you kind of earn that position. You know, it's a silly one I learned from Ian Vaillere was, and it's so simple. It's just those little cucumbers. You know, you just dice up little cucumbers and throw them in any meal. They don't really taste like much. They're a little bit of food volume. They're crunchy. You got something hot, having the cooler, you know, sensation's a little bit different. And you know how it is. You're on prep. Some things like you look at a cardboard box, you're like, hey, with a little sugar-free ketchup, I can make a pizza out of that, right? You know, your taste buds definitely change, but that's one that's, I don't see how you could go wrong. You know, throwing a half a cucumber in a few meals, you know, if it
I guess that
scratches the itch.
brought one to my mind is making like a hamburger bowl with shredded lettuce, beef, and pickles.
Yeah.
That, and then some mustard, and then I trick my brain into thinking I'm eating a hamburger.
Yeah. You love your burgers. I know that.
Yeah, I do that the same thing with like, make like a burrito bowl, and then I'll take a little bit of the plain faye and use it like sour cream on there. Mix it up with a little chipotle or whatever hot sauce, and just stir it up and throw it on the top of it.
Hey, you put some fat-free cheese on there. That's just straight up protein.
Yeah.
And for the record, fat-free mozzarella is the most cheese-like.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes,
I
it
don't like
actually
the
melts.
cheddar. I don't like the cheddar one.
No, it's too dry.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And it doesn't melt. It's weird.
Yeah, the mozzarella actually, like, you can barely even tell that it's not regular mozzarella.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll mix it in after my meal's cooked, and it's just warm enough my meal where it'll start to break it down, makes it stringy. If you overcook it, too, it dries out super quick. That reminds me, I might as well talking about one story of a client. I won't name names, but they're gonna know who they are if they're listening to this. I had a person one time that I'm looking at their check-ins, and we're about halfway through prep, and we just got past the fat and flat part where they're starting to look pretty good, and they're still flat, but they're starting to get past the soft look. And then all of a sudden, I start looking at their check-ins one day, and they're just getting watery and bloated and like even in the face. It looked like it's a female, but it looked like they just jumped on testosterone, like just blew up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Come to find out, we go through everything, and they were new to this, so they didn't really know that this was a no-no, but they were having some pickles, they said, with their meals. They'd throw a little bit of pickles in. Come to find out, it was 3 jars of pickles a day, salted pickles.
Holy shit.
So all that sodium, so all that
And that's
salt,
not calorie free either.
right. I mean, it's pretty good to a point, calorie, it's pretty close to a free
Right.
food to a point if you manage it.
Not when you abuse it.
Yeah, but we pulled it out, and you would have it looked like a water balloon just deflating. Like they started,
That's
because
a crazy amount of sodium, just that.
yeah, and that's actually what made me nervous, was not the look. It was that this was a tiny person with a ton of sodium all of a sudden, and then a ton of edema. I'm just like, okay, this is whatever we're doing, we're going to pump the brakes till we figure this out. And so I got check-in photos daily until I saw it go away. Because we were at the point where I was basically just doing Wednesdays and Sunday check-ins. But I started getting daily, and it was just like a deflating balloon. It was exactly that. They just started dropping about a pound and a half a day extra. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe that, though. I was like, all right, pickles, but 3 fucking jars a day.
Insane.
Yeah. I don't think I could do that if I
Be
was
careful
volume.
with people who can just like really go too far with that shit, especially like smaller females. It'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna eat cucumbers all day.
Yeah.
Okay, 120 grams of fiber.
I think Paul had a story about somebody that was doing like 3 pounds or something, or whatever, like 3 or 4 heads of broccoli a day,
Jeez.
like ridiculous amounts. And they were having problems going to the bathroom. It's like, yeah, that's too much fiber.
Yeah, you just ate a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Before we jump off, you guys want to get a couple questions knocked down?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm fucking hungry, guys. Like, what the hell?
Okay. We'll get
Today's
you
my
out of here.
low day.
We'll get you out of here. What is it, a low day, you said?
Well, yeah, it's a non-training day, so my food has reduced my carbs by 30%. So not that low, but a little bit lower.
I have
One in the day.
I have 5 low days and 2 high days. That's the rhythm. So I'm on my 3rd low day,
I won't complain.
which for me is between 15 and 1600 calories.
Yeah.
Do you do the high days back to back?
Yeah.
How many weeks out are you?
Just over 9. 8 weeks out is February 14th.
What show?
Tri-City Classic.
Nice.
Yeah. Here, it's right here in my hometown, so it's like perfect situation. Yeah. And like I know the show set up really well. Like I've been to it twice. I did stage duty there one time. So
The closest shows to me are still 2 hours away where I live. There's nothing around here.
most of them are for me. I'm kind of surprised we even have a local show here, and it's actually kind of like a major show.
Mike, how far are you from the Emerald Cup when they do? Because that's a pretty big NPC show.
Yeah, so Emerald Cup is pretty much Seattle, Washington,
Okay.
and that's in the middle of Washington basically, and I'm on the southern end of Oregon, so it's about an 8-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we did it. When I did the Emerald Cup this year, we had stayed at the residence hotel down the street where I had full kitchen and everything, and it was a kind of a thing,
I guess I can't complain. An hour ride to Boston is not so bad.
Yeah.
Most of the closest shows to me, other than this one I'm doing, are either in Atlanta, which is a couple hours away, or they're in Florida.
Yeah. All right, let's get a couple questions before Josh starts eating the phone. So this one, I want to get this one, and this was on, I put a post up on YouTube to get some fresh questions, and people have been really good about commenting lately. But a buddy of ours, Mark's Cram, I bet you he's listening. He competes locally around me in my area. We've met him a few times. He's 62 years old, and he crushes it. I'll have to get some pictures of this guy. He's big, tall, and he's just crushes it at his age. I think he won the 60 plus, Josh, at the New England's this year and last year. Taller.
I definitely saw him.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm going to sum up his questions because it's a couple paragraphs, but basically Marks is 62 and needs to kind of prioritize quad sweep. And he's looking for some advice on how to go about that. He trains quads every 7 days, and he's pretty much, to sum everything up, and hopefully I'll get this right. He's basically saying, should I be worried about frequency, exercise selection, or foot placement if I'm really trying to focus on quad sweep? Volume, intensity, where should he kind of be starting? So it sounds like his weak spot is this quad sweep. And basically I can tell you he's training once a week for legs. Anybody want to start off, or you want me to go?
You go.
I was going to say, if recoverability, I think the easiest low-hanging fruit sounds like, in my opinion, and I deal with a lot of masters competitors, so it definitely depends on the scenario, but recoverability, if he has the recoverability to add frequency and not overburden like one day with a ton of volume, I'd start there. So like, give you an example. Let's say he's getting 12 working sets on that one day, just to make numbers simple. If we could split it up where we're getting 7 working sets over 2 days, I'd still find that much better, because recoverability in that overlap is just going to give him more time in a week's time, in a 7 day time, of hitting the same stimulus, feeding the muscle, making it receptive to food. So in my opinion, starting right there is going to give him overall better growth in his legs, sweep, thickness, density, everything, detail. But for more specific to his answer, I'd probably say foot placement. Like, if you can find a way to target a good full range of motion and in a place you literally feel the muscle being targeted in the sweep, I would start there, experiment there. And he's a taller dude, so we know squat pattern from when we talked about last week is a little different from people's height. You know, what exercise is going to work for them is a little different than like a 5'5" person. So that's kind of where I would start, was if we can get frequency up, we're going to make some improvements regardless of sweep. We're going to make improvements all around in those legs.
Was he enhanced?
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. So an enhanced athlete should be recovering from a leg workout like in 72 hours-ish, right? So theoretically, he could be training legs every 4th day. And I know for me, like, I play around a lot with foot placement. And you think about your quad sweep, right? We always think about that outside quad muscle, but there's 3 there that you really have to worry about, right? And they're all going to contribute to having that nice round sweep. Not to mention that your quads look kind of funny if I wish I knew all the femoris, anyway, all the technical terms for them off the top of my head. But, and that all varies with foot placement. Like, and when he says foot placement, I'm imagining him on a leg press, not necessarily on a squat, for example.
Yeah.
And if he's 62, he probably, the risk profile on a barbell squat is just a little too high. But I train in various foot positions depending on the day. So I'll do like a glute hamstring focus leg day, and then I'll train quads that day as well. But I train them later on in the session, and then on those days I'll put my feet together very narrow and high, and then I feel more like stretch in the hamstrings and glutes when I'm doing it like that, as well as an emphasis on that outer, quad sweep. And then when I am training them on my quad day, I have them spread apart and pointed out a little bit, and that can be a little adductor focused sometimes, but also good for that quad sweep. So not only just adding frequency to that, and I train. I'm 12 sets, 9 to 12 sets on those 2 leg days anyway. Quads I could eat, sometimes it's only 9, but then I'm doing that twice a week. So adding that frequency, and then that variance, right? Like finding, if you want to focus on the sweeps, finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Maybe you train that sweet spot twice a week. But if you want to be able to train and recover and try different foot placement, then it might be easier to recover than doing it the same way several times a week.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's no, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I think you really got to put an emphasis on, are you feeling the area that we're looking to work become engaged during the motion? Like, I hate the upper pec, lower pec, the upper bicep, lower, but I hate that discussion sometimes. But if we're not feeling the muscle being engaged thoroughly, we're probably not working it anyways, and I'm not able to connect and apply more intensity anyhow. So you make a good point. You have to feel the muscle we want to target working, plain and simple. Maybe that's something he's missing too. But Josh is the quadzilla. I'd actually say, what do you got to think about that? I mean, is frequency, are we dead on with
I would
frequency?
100% agree with the frequency.
Yeah.
I've trained my legs twice per week for pretty much the last 11 years, and I grew my legs immensely. Obviously he's not a young guy, so I would prioritize progressive overload if he was a little bit younger on movements like a hack squat
Mhm.
or a pendulum squat that's going to allow him to get the biggest knee flexion. I
I'll
think
just quickly add, he's only been at it for 4 years. Started bodybuilding at 58, he's 62. So there's probably something to
his
that.
body is healthy and his joints can handle, progressive overload. I would also have him train in a higher rep range though,
Yeah.
so that he's not lifting, a 6-rep set. He would be doing, 15 to 20, but still focusing on progressive overload. And I would vary his stance on both those days. So maybe on the first leg day, he does leg extension and pendulum, and then he does all hams. And then on the second leg day, he's doing, hack squat with a different stance and a leg press, so that he's varying the frequency and different stimulus from different angles.
Great point. We missing something, Tanya, that we haven't hit on? If
No,
we-
I 100% agree with the frequency part. Like, that was the first thing I would go to as well, because not only is it allowing you more volume as you described, but it's going to be higher quality volume, because those latter 7 sets are now going to be in a different session later that week. So it's going to be fresh.
Yeah.
So especially with legs, like, the number one thing really is your training quality, because it's very hard to train your legs at a high enough quality and hard enough to grow them. That's why they're so hard to grow for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially taller people. So that's going to allow a better quality. And then from there, it's going to be all about, especially for quads, finding as much knee bend as you can in your exercises, knees over toes all the time. That's going to get more quads. So if he's currently doing some sort of squat pattern and has like a higher foot placement, he's getting a lot of hip bend and not a lot of knee bend, he's not stimulating a whole lot of quad there. So I'd bring his feet down, try to get a lot more knee bend.
Mhm.
And then since he is older, I'd probably have him do some isolation exercises at the top of the workout and then the compounds later, so that he doesn't have to use so much weight.
Yeah. Good
Totally
point.
agree with that. I would have him pre-exhaust with like
Mhm.
leg extensions for sure.
Yeah.
And potentially, depending on his ankle mobility, maybe some squat shoes that would allow him further
Mhm.
ankle flexion and knee flexion.
And doing calf raises prior to those motions can help with that range of motion too. And also, something as simple as rolling a lacrosse ball on the bottom of your foot will literally give you more range of motion up your whole posterior chain.
I just learned that for the first time a week and a half ago, and
Mhm.
it works like a charm.
Yep.
It don't take long, maybe a couple minutes, I've noticed, of really kind of alternating, rolling out on a lacrosse ball, the pad of your foot and the arch of your foot just definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, because we never think about our feet. So a lot of the times the feet are all bound up and tight, and that follows the fascia line all the way up. It has to compensate all the way up. So you release that, it just kind of releases all the way up.
Yeah. Good point.
And this thing with, like, because there's always been this argument about, can we isolate heads of the quad? Can we not isolate heads of the quad? And I understand that a motor unit fires the whole entire muscle and you can't isolate and make it only do one head at a time. But I disagree that you can't isolate a head of a muscle that is fan-shaped enough, like the delt, like the glutes. The quads are pretty wide too. I do 100% think that depending on how you direct that tension, you can put that tension through different areas of the tissue.
Yeah.
And cause strain more on the outside or more on the inside or more in the rec fem.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that argument that, it's all one motor unit. You can't isolate a head of the quad because the knee only flexes and extends. I think you can direct tension in specific tissues.
Right. And that would go back to pretty much what Josh and Mike both said, is between foot placement and then full range of motion is going to train the whole muscle.
Yeah.
Not like a partial one, but it's going to get more, you're going to get those connective areas to be fully stretched out and targeted too.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, you need to make sure you're doing both squatting patterns and a leg extension pattern, because without a leg extension, you're never getting the shortened end of the tension.
Yeah. Good point.
I was just about to add, no one brought up training in that stretch position. That's, that's a powerful one too. Just something that I just had in the last year was pausing it at the bottom of the leg press for just a couple of seconds in that stretch position, and then it's exploding up from there. Same thing with like the little hustler pad on the leg extension, so that you have just pushing your legs back just that much farther. Yeah, that makes a big difference in the quad sweeps, I think.
For 1.5 reps at the bottom of the hack squat, that'll bring your weight way down.
I've never tried it, but
John Meadows has some good videos and explanations of how to do it kind of safely too, because you got to think you're kind of in a compromised spot doing that. I guess my biggest problem, Tanya, is I just hate watching people do exercises incorrectly, thinking they're getting some advantage to the upper pec or they're doing partial reps, partial range of motion, because that targets the top of my bicep and that's my peak.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, how about just get the whole friggin' thing trained? Like, you're not even in a position to start shaping. You need to start putting clay on the whole area right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
I guess I'm a little stuck in my ways.
At our age, building legs is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like 29 inches when I was 50, and now I'm, 27, and I train them harder and more effectively and, better than I ever had. And it's just putting weight on your legs. When you start going to these masters competitions, I went to masters nationals. I'm like, nobody's got legs. The guy that won the overall, the guy that won my division, I mean, none of them have bigger legs than me, really. So it's just hard to do when you're older.
Well, your leg is apparently almost as big as my waist, so.
Well, I think it's fair to say there's only, when it comes to your lower body, intensity just plays the biggest role out of any muscle. I mean, you really got to trash them sometimes. I mean, they're carrying your whole body around all day. There's one thing that's pumping blood other than your heart all day. It's basically your legs moving around.
And it's literally, they're the biggest muscles, so they're going to hurt the most.
Yeah.
So it just makes it so where a lot of people just can't even push through that pain to get to the intensity level.
Yeah.
I think on leg day, you got to have it that one set that is just all out, shit your pants, everything you have. You can do a leg, at least one set on a leg day.
Yeah.
I like to remind people it's not going to start hurting worse. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, once it's terrible, that's the level of terrible it's going to be. Just keep going. It isn't going to get worse. You're just going to stop moving.
Yeah. I literally, old school, just let that be like all my anger for the day just come out. Like, just self-inflicted on yourself. Who cares? I know it sounds twisted, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like my release.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah.
Once a week. I love now putting progressive overload like as a huge emphasis in like high intensity on my legs lately. Like, I think I was telling Josh, I used to always be much more of a higher volume trainer. But I started putting in on like my back days and my leg days, like my first two big movements, whether a leg press or a hack squat, I'm working in a 6 to 8 rep range as heavy as I can, which is totally different because I would do the same method, but at the higher rep range, like you were talking with the masters guys. But that nervousness I get now going to the gym, like, okay, it's leg day. It's like 20 minutes till I'm on that friggin' hack squat. It's going to hurt. Am I going to beat last week? Like, I'm starting to fall back in love with like that little nervousness that you had,
Yeah, performing a seance with yourself in the car before you go in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is what we have to do to get good legs. This is what we have to do to get good legs.
Yeah.
My leg training so I've trained legs twice a week forever. And right now it's one leg workout, but it's 9 exercises.
Oh my fucking God.
Class is a conventional deadlift.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucked. Like I actually love legs. Like Dave, you know my legs are big.
Yeah.
I actually like almost have anxiety every day when I go into the session because I'm like, I gotta do adductor, leg extension, leg curl, pendulum, leg press, single leg press, lunges, deadlift, calves.
Jeez.
Goddamn.
How many working sets are you actually getting though? Like,
So it's 2 working sets per exercise.
oh, that's still a ton.
That's a big leg day. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours, and I'm like trying to move as quick as I can.
Yeah.
But the lower back after the deadlifts and everything, I'm just like, fuck.
Oh, I know.
Good
Yeah.
thing that's at the end.
I know. Or I'd be, dude.
I know. I'm just glad I don't lift calves. I've never trained calves, and my calves are bigger than my quads. I have no.
Oh, fuck off.
Like I've never trained traps. I've never trained calves. And who trains forearms? But my forearms are massive, and I've obviously never like isolated forearm.
Yeah.
I know. A little silly, but
Believe it or not, I used to train forearm.
yeah.
I used to train everything. I was crazy.
Yeah.
I was crazy.
The best results I've ever gotten with people is having like a fat grip on a lot of their pressing and pulling motions, just allowing them to work in like a really kind of vulnerable spot. That's because they're losing some capabilities on like their pulling motions, but having that open hand, for some reason, they're just getting way more engagement in their forearms. They're having to constantly keep gripping down on the grips.
Yeah.
And I've seen that work better than like the forearm ropes that people pull up and stuff like that, or like the little curls. I'll watch guys just sit there all day and curls, and their forearms are like this. It's like, can't you tell?
Well, yeah, I mean, because there's a concept of passive and active insufficiency with your muscles. If you're completely contracted with your hands all the way in like this, there's not as much contraction capability as if you're in a more mid-range state.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually able to squeeze more if you're like this versus all the way like this.
Right. Yeah, and you feel it. I mean, do a couple pulling motions with like fat grips. You'll be like, wow, your forearms give out pretty quick.
Listen, I have baby hands. Everything is already fat grips.
All right, well, we'll call it a night. I know everybody's getting hungry there, but
Yeah, I gotta go home and eat. My stomach's grumbling.
I don't get to eat yet anyway, so.
You have another meal?
Yeah, I have one more meal in like an hour before I go to bed.
I got
soon enough, hopefully.
I got 2 more 300 carbs. I'm ready.
Damn, you have 2 more meals? What time do you get to bed?
So I usually eat like now, like 8 o'clock this is usually my post-workout meal. But I trained earlier. But anyways, I'd eat now and then about 10:30, and then I'm right to bed pretty much. Yeah. Just is what it is. I wish I could have a little more time to let it digest, but
Yeah, no, I'm gonna eat my meal and go to bed.
yeah.
Honestly,
I'll wait for you.
I like to have mine like right before I go to bed because I find that I think I go hypo really easily in the night, and that makes me wake up and pee.
Mm.
Because my blood sugar is always real low anyway. Like I talked about this before, I'm super insulin sensitive apparently. Like I'll wake up in the 50s or 60s and feel fine. So I keep it like no matter how much I'm eating, I keep that right before I go to bed.
You should
Just go hypo
Yeah.
overnight a lot on contest prep.
Do you?
Even if I'm eating a lot, it'll still happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You should get a CGM. Check.
I've thought about it.
Yeah, why not check it overnight? For see if there's something up or some tendency.
Yeah, I've actually thought about that.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all coming on, and to all the listeners, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, hit us up with some comments. What do you want to see next down below? And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Everybody be good.
Have a great night.